So this has actually been the shock of free agency. Like, I'm being dead serious here. This is the shock of free agency.
Did you catch the latest news in the WNBA? The Indiana Fever made a bold move during free agency that has everyone buzzing. They didn't just add any player, they secured Sydney Colson, the two-time WNBA champion who played a crucial role for the Las Vegas Aces last season.
The shock of free agency is the fact that the Fever signed their backup point guard, and it might be one of the best vets in the entire WNBA.
Here's where it gets even more intriguing. Colson made the surprising decision to leave a championship team and join the Fever. It's hard to believe, right? A seasoned player with multiple titles choosing to sign with a team that has faced challenges. Something major is unfolding in Indiana, and we're here to explore why this move has shaken up the entire league.
The Fever have signed Sydney Colson. The Fever have signed Sydney Colson, two-time WNBA champion Sydney Colson. The X Factor for the 2023 champion Aces, Sydney Colson. Yes, Sydney Colson coming towards the end of her career. But it's Sydney Colson. If you agree this is an unbelievable signing.
You might be thinking, sure, but Sydney Colson's stats don't exactly jump off the page. What's all the fuss about? Well, here's where it gets fascinating. Let's dive into what Colson truly brings to the team. Those qualities that don't show up in the box score.
They literally just signed Sydney Colson, which is huge. This is the biggest shock. No one would have guessed Sydney Colson.
Imagine this. It's a high-pressure playoff game. The stakes are through the roof. And while most players might feel the weight of the moment, Colson remains unshaken. She has this rare ability to stay calm under pressure, even if she hasn't seen the court all game. You know how some players need to find their rhythm to step up? Not Colson. She can stay on the bench all game and still hit those crucial shots when it counts the most.
And this is the perfect thing for a backup. Someone who, knowing how many minutes Caitlin Clark is going to play, knowing how many minutes Kelsey Mitchell is going to play, knowing how good good the wings are on this team.
But it's not just about her clutch moments on the court. Colson has an incredible presence in the locker room too. You know, that teammate who's always there to lift everyone's spirits, offering a word of encouragement when needed. That's Sydney. Her teammates genuinely admire her. She's like a constant source of positive energy, keeping the whole team motivated. Now, you might be wondering.
But I'm here to tell you, it looked like the Fever has found the backup to come in from Caitlin Clark. That is Sydney Colson from the Las Vegas Aces.
How does all of this translate to the Fever? Well, picture having that championship mindset in your locker room every day. Colson isn't just bringing her skills. She's bringing a winning mentality that could change the entire culture of the Fever. It's like infusing the team with a sense of success and determination that can elevate everyone around her. It might sound bold, but it's exactly what a team like the Fever needs.
Sydney Colson's not young. I mean that. Like, you will look at Sydney Colson's points per game and just be like, oh, Sydney Colson's not going to bring anything. No. It's all about, like, she's 35. It's all just about what they do in their minutes.
And here's the kicker. Colson's impact goes far beyond just what happens on the court. She's got this natural ability to mentor younger players. Think about it. The Fever's roster is filled with fresh talent trying to find their place in the league. Now, they got a two-time champion right there, ready to share her experience and guide them through the process. That kind of mentorship? Absolutely invaluable.
Sydney Colson does not care. And that's the biggest thing about Sydney Colson, is that she gives you, and this is such an important part for someone who's not going to play that many minutes, she has championship experience. She has clutch championship experience. Like, Sydney Colson has unbelievably clutch championship experience.
But here's the kicker. Colson chose this. She left the powerhouse Aces to join the Fever on a minimum contract, no less. Can you believe it? She wanted to be part of this underdog story. She saw something in Indiana that made her think, yeah, I can help build something special here. Now let's talk about effort. You know those players who only give it their all when they're getting big minutes? That's not Sun. This woman gives 110%, whether she's playing 25 seconds or 20 minutes. That kind of attitude is contagious. It sets a standard for the whole team.
This is an unbelievable signing. This is unbelievable. Because this is a player who will, whether she gives you 25 seconds or 20 minutes, is gonna go and give you the same effort. She'll give you the same effort. She'll play the same way. She plays her ass off. She'll guard. She can hit shots. She hits big shots. She plays well in big possessions.
And here's a little secret. Colson has a hidden superpower. She's clutch, with nerves of steel. That playoff moment I mentioned, it's not a one-off. Colson has a history of stepping up when the pressure is at its peak. That's exactly the type of player you want when the game's on the line. But it's not just about the big moments. Colson's true value lies in all the small things that don't show up on the stat sheet, her communication on defense, the clever passes that set up others for assists, her leadership, and even the way she handles timeouts. All of these intangibles add up to a huge impact on the team's overall success.
She has spent the last 5 seasons in Las Vegas. She won 2 rings there. First and foremost, on the court, she gives the Fever a backup veteran point guard. And
So sure, Colson might not lead the league in scoring or rack up triple-doubles, but what she brings to the Fever is something you can't quantify with stats. It's her championship experience, veteran wisdom, and that clutch gene. It's her ability to raise the level of everyone around her and make the entire team better. That's the kind of impact that goes beyond the numbers.
Sydney Colson stats and be like, oh, she doesn't really give that much of anything. She doesn't score. She's averaging like 2 points a game. That's fine. The Fever do not need another high-volume scorer. They need a veteran backup point guard who can help manage that offense.
All right, now here's where things get truly wild. Sydney Colson didn't just sign with Indiana. She chose them over the defending champs. Can you believe it? She left Aja Wilson and the Aces to join a team that's been struggling for years. You might be thinking, is she out of her mind? Did Indiana offer her some huge contract? Nope, she's probably on a minimum deal, so what's really going on here? Why would a 2-time champion leave a powerhouse to join an underdog?
Sydney Colson is the funniest player in the entire WNBA, and I can't believe that they let Caitlin Clark get Sydney Colson, because not only is Caitlin Clark one of the best women's basketball players we've ever seen, she nails all of her interviews. She has had the poise. She has handled the transition from college to the WNBA and all the stardom around it so gracefully. And now she's going to have the best content in the league. The Fever are going to have the best content in the entire WNBA next season.
Let's break it down. Colson isn't just after another ring. She's looking to make history. Think about it. The Fever have been the underdogs, the team everyone's overlooked for years, but now they're making moves no one expected. They've got Caitlin Clark, added veterans like Natasha Howard, Diana Bonner, and Sophie Cunningham, and now Colson. This team is building something that could turn the league upside down.
But like, Sydney Colson is just such a big pickup. She was the main reason why they won in 2023. She stepped in Game 4 and basically, like, came in for an injured Chelsea Gray, having to play huge minutes after barely playing at all in the regular season, barely playing the playoffs, and came in and balled out in Game 4 of the finals.
They have Caitlin Clark. They have Aaliyah Boston. They made sure that they re-signed Kelsey Mitchell. That was a big one. They acquired both Natasha Howard and Diana Bonner. They traded for Sophie Cunningham. They still have Lexi Hull. And now they have made a move that is literally my favorite of WNBA free agency. They have signed Sydney Colson.
So I would think that the Aces would start off as favorites over the Fever.
Yes.
And the Liberty? But outside of those two, I don't think it's anybody else. I think that the Fever have gone from worse for the past, 6-7 pre-Caitlin Clark, 6-7 years of just being awful, to getting Caitlin Clark and being like, oh, that's a playoff team, to now legitimate title contender.
Like, Sydney Colson is going to be one of those last two off the bench. They're going to probably have one young player, Sydney Colson, and they're going to do something with the Katie Lou money. She's somebody that is going to be a real vet, a real vet, and is going to probably play 6 minutes a game. 6 minutes a game, and give you an unbelievable 6 minutes.